Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. One main rule as a salesman: never assume what a person wants or can afford. Our OP's father turned out to be a rich man, but the salesman still refused to serve him for some reason. Details upcoming. So before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Salesmen won't tell us the car prices. I was car shopping with my dad many years ago. We're both in construction, so we're dressed in somewhat rugged clothing at the time. My dad also has a heavy Indian accent, so usually experiences far more racism than I do. We were in a Toyota dealership and seemed to be reluctantly greeted by an older white salesman that obviously wasn't happy to see us. My dad's asking about a Tundra pickup truck, and the guy just keeps on telling him it's very expensive. My dad's pressing more and more, and the sales guy's practically steering him to the smaller model truck because it's more affordable. My dad's frustrated, so I start asking about the hybrid Highlander, fairly new technology at the time, and the sales guy is shocked that I'd even dare ask about such an expensive car, wouldn't sit down with us to talk about packages and pricing, just dismissed me as a guy that could never afford it. We walked away and said goodbye to the guy, and he was happy to leave us alone. We didn't leave though, and were approached by another salesman in a few minutes asking if we needed any help. 30 minutes later, we're both ready to sign paperwork for a new high-end Tundra and new mid-high-end hybrid Highlander. I'd been approved already for financing, and my dad was buying his truck outright. The original salesman finally noticed us and interrupted the process to tell the sales manager that we were his clients, presumably for commission reasons. We were patient and quiet up to this point, but my dad and I looked at each other and were ready for some revenge. I started to calmly let him and the sales manager know how rude and condescending he was by refusing to take us seriously and not even telling us the pricing of the vehicles. He denied it, and my dad stood up yelling at him about being racist, about our family running a multi-million-dollar company. We build and sell about 3 to 5 houses a year, so $2 million is still technically multi-million, LOL, and just going off on the guy. My dad ended up tearing his check in pieces and throwing it in the garbage. The old salesman actually took an angry step forward towards my dad, and I stood up to my full 6'5" height and asked if he was seriously trying to physically threaten my father. It was utter pandemonium. The sales manager took the original salesman outside the office, and the second salesman joined them. We could see everything through the glass walls everywhere, and the manager was freaking out at him, while the second salesman seemed to be confirming that everything we said was true. The sales manager came back with the owner of the dealership, who, unbeknownst to us, also happened to be Indian. The owner apologized profusely, then him and my dad spoke with each other in Punjabi. I could keep up with enough to know my dad was retelling the story of our experience, and then afterwards doing some wheeling and dealing again. We walked out of there with new and even better deals on each of our cars, and I made fun of my dad for not knowing that an Indian guy owned the dealership. As we walked out, the original salesman apologized profusely to us, but we kept walking. When we came back a few days later to get our new vehicles, we were told the original salesman was fired, and we felt zero guilt about it. Money talks, wealth whispers. People with real money aren't so insecure they feel the need to make sure everyone knows. And our second story. Home flipper gets what's coming. I'm a real estate agent in the Pacific Northwest. Inventory of homes for sale throughout the region are historically low, and demand is especially high, creating a perfect storm for buyers, forcing them to compete for every sale. It's extremely difficult emotionally for buyers and creates a lot more work for us as agents for several reasons. The first is the home values are so high, people from all walks of life decide to become licensed agents. And currently we have more agents in our market than homes sold. That means we have a lot of inexperienced agents listing homes at prices that don't make sense, so we have to do a ton of work for each offer written to ensure our clients don't overpay for a property, also knowing that the likelihood for that offer to be accepted is super low when there'll be 5, 10, sometimes as many as 20 offers on any one home. Also, with having to compete against a ton of other buyers, buyers are offering to purchase homes with little to no negotiations for inspections, let alone repairs. This puts an even higher burden on us agents to try and look at homes as critically as possible to try to catch costly repairs before our clients commit to purchasing. I woke up one morning with a text from a buyer expressing interest in a home that just popped up for sale. After looking at the details, I realized the home was perfect for the two of them. The listing pics were of a home that was nicely remodeled in the area of town they wanted to live and at a price that was right in line with their budget. The private notes from the seller's agent to the buyer's agents on the listing said the seller would review offers 4 days in the future and to submit your highest and best offer by 5 p.m. on the deadline date. I reached out to the listing agent to chat about the home and to schedule a showing. The agent was new, this was their first listing, and they also worked mainly in a city 40 miles away. The listing advertised a full remodel and incredibly low property taxes. Those are red flags 1 and 2 for non-permitted work. After scheduling the showing for the following day, when my clients were off work, I set to work determining a fair price per square foot and to verify the permit status of the recently finished remodel. First, I determined the home was underpriced by about $100K. Any offer we'd be making would have to be at a minimum $100K above what they were listing at. There are no deals in our market. An underpriced home will get a ton more offers, but no one's paying list price for an underpriced home. Second, I compared the home to the tax records and the listing pics from the last time it was sold. The seller was an investor that owned the home for less than a year. Well, wouldn't you know it, the home went from 1,300 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom to 1,800 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home with no permits on file from the city. This was an illegal flip. No permits pulled, no guarantees the work was done by professionals, no inspections to ensure the wiring was safe or the plumbing wasn't leaking, and no records with the taxing authority. This means that once the home sold to the new owners, the city could fine them every day for non-permitted work until the work was inspected, retroactively permitted, if even possible, and the county could sue the new owners for up to 6 years back taxes for omitted property. This means that the buyer would have the state-mandated warranty from a licensed contractor. There was no bonding or insurance to collect if the work wasn't done in a professional manner. This could ruin a buyer if they weren't sufficiently capitalized. The flipper would profit, and profit mightily, by taking advantage of a seller's market and unsuspecting buyers. While I was doing my due diligence, I was shocked to see the home went sale pending less than 2 hours after I first spoke to the listing agent. They didn't tell me an offer was received when I asked, and they ignored the offer deadline that they themselves had set. The agent said the sellers received an offer they couldn't refuse. I then had to tell my rightfully frustrated clients that we missed the boat. They didn't even get a chance to see it in person. So I collected all the information the listing provided, including the photos of the home, saved them as a PDF, and submitted them to our city's code enforcement department. Then I set the home on a watch list and waited to see what would happen. And waited. Knowing full well I pulled the pin on a grenade and was hoping it was thrown in time to blow up before ownership was transferred. 10 days, 20 days go by, I hear nothing. By the 25th day, I'm starting to worry. The sale contract typically only takes 30 days to finish. Then literally on the 30th day, I see the city has launched an investigation and a certified letter went out to the owners, and the sale hadn't finished yet. Just in time. Then the sale doesn't close. 35 days, 40 days, and nothing. On the 50th day, the deed is recorded and the sale finishes. The deed contained all the usual language, except that the previous owner was made responsible to pay for all fees, penalties, and fines issued by the city and the county for ongoing issues related to the non-permitted work and the subsequent tax increases they would have had to pay had they gotten permits in the first place. The buyer received the home with assurances that they wouldn't be on the hook for the previous owner's negligence. For me, it was sweet revenge, knowing that the seller was held accountable to ensure they sold a home that was safe to live in. And our last story. Two can play at that game. I have a horrible neighbor. I live in a house that's next to a condo complex. He lives in a condo that overlooks my backyard. My house was recently broken into, and all my tools were stolen, along with a guitar and some camping gear. The next day, my neighbor sees me and tells me that he was outside smoking at 3 a.m. and saw a man wearing all black run into my yard from the street and hide in a dark corner. My neighbor didn't call the police. He simply went inside his condo because it was none of my business, as he said. A few days later, I'm outside in my front yard, and he parks in my driveway so he can run inside his condo because he would only be a minute. I told him my wife would be home any second and that I had just spoken with her. Please don't park there. He waved his finger at me and advised me again that it'll just be a minute and runs inside. As expected, not 30 seconds later, my wife rolls up, assesses the situation, then has to park 3 blocks away where she finally found a spot. As I mentioned, we were recently robbed, and having our second most valuable item multiple blocks away wasn't where we wanted our car. He comes out and doesn't apologize. He gets in his car and leaves. That brings me to today. Here in San Diego, they're working on the street plumbing, upgrading from old lead pipes to newer piping. There are signs posted every 20 feet saying do not park from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm working at my computer desk, which looks out to the street, and I see a car pull up and park. I get up and head for the front door, but I notice that it's the same horrible neighbor, so I let it go. His car was ticketed and towed within the hour. I patiently waited for him to come out and watched him lose his crap on the construction workers who were just out there doing their jobs. I guess he thought that it was somehow their fault. So after I let him get good and mad, I walked outside and said, "So I saw a cop come and give you a ticket. I was going to come get you, but it's none of my business." That was epic. I wish I could see his face. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.